Well, it is 4:30. We do appreciate everybody coming tonight. We do have quite a bit on the agenda tonight. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll have our invocation by Reverend Cotner.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Gracious God, our Heavenly Father, we come once again at the setting of another day's sun just to say thank you for being God and God all by yourself. We come, Father, asking your blessings upon the assemblage of the council that have been elected to lead, guide, and direct your people here in the city of Madisonville. We ask, Father, that everything that's done on this night will be done decently and in order. And we will be mindful in all we do to give all praise, all glory, and all honor unto thee. In the blessed name of Jesus, the living Christ, we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Kim, can we have a roll call?
Yes, sir. Misty Cavanaugh. Here. Tony Space.
Here.
Adam Townsend.
Here.
Amy Cruz.
Present.
Frank Stevenson.
Here.
Chad Mincer.
Here.
Mayor, we do have a quorum.
All right, our first order of business is going to be from our auditor, Teresa Jones. Ms. Teresa, if you'll step up to the podium for us, please.
Good afternoon. And again, I thank you for allowing my firm to perform the audit this year for the city. And what I plan to do is just hit a few highlights because we have met individually and gone over a lot of things in detail. But if you have any questions while I'm going through, just don't hesitate to ask. And the city's been able to maintain an overall solvent financial condition, and withstand financial pressures of our current economy, with the help of careful planning and monitoring of expenditures. I'm happy to report that the audit went well this year, and the finance department and everyone that I worked with did a great job accumulating the information, and I really sincerely appreciate the cooperation from everyone. So our independent auditor's report is on page 1 and 2. And again, just the opinion, you have a clean, unmodified opinion. That's as good as it gets. That's what you want, but that's on page 1 and 2. At the bottom of page 1 is the opinion, but it is a clean, unmodified opinion. And so congratulations again for having no problems on the independent auditor's report. And as required, Mr. Alexander has prepared what's called the Management Discussion and Analysis. So I encourage you to read that. It contains a good summary of the statements and comparisons with prior year. But we'll start looking on page 14, and I'm going to abbreviate this a lot. But on page 14, this is the statement of net position of the city. And basically, the total net position of the city, this is all the assets that the city owns and all the liabilities, everything that it owes. The net of that is $50,971,000. So you do have a good financial position. And this has decreased from last year, though, because you have some liabilities that you have to accrue. The net pension liability basically is why there is a decrease in the total net position. But I want to just look at some individual funds that may be a little more meaningful. If we turn to page 16, we'll look at the general fund just briefly. But you see on page 16, there's a general fund and there's other governmental funds. The other governmental being your ABC and municipal aid, coal severance, and restaurant tax. But we'll look at the general fund. And the total assets of the general fund is almost $8 million, $7,920,000. Cash is up over $1 million, but the grants receivable is down. So that's why you have a decrease in total assets. And you see toward the bottom under the general fund, I just wanted to point out the fund balance is $5,640,000. Of that $5 of that fund balance, you have an unassigned fund balance, unassigned of $4,735,000. And as we've spoken before, as a good rule of thumb, you like to have 3 months worth of expenditures in your unassigned fund balance, and you happen to have 2.6 months. Now, and so you're right around 3 months, so that's good. You want to have, last year that was 2.7, so you're down just a little bit. But you could cover 3 months worth of expenditures out of your unassigned fund balance. So that's a good position to be in. But let's look at page 18. And this is a statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. And you see that the total revenues of the general fund, there is $17,586,000. And how does this compare to last year? I always like saying, how does this compare? How are we doing compared to last year? Well, this is down $1,057,000 from prior year. But the reason it's down is because you had grant income for the year ended 20, and you also had some contribution income that you didn't have for this past year. When we look under taxes revenue, occupational tax revenue is up $413,000. And all of the tax revenue has gone up a little bit. A total of tax revenue increase is about $689,000. So that's a positive thing, that the tax revenue has increased even though your total income is down. And the expenditures, you see your total expenditures are $21,916,000. That's decreased $1,934,000. So again, your income decreased, but so did your expenditures decrease. But what I want to call to your attention, let's look on page, trying to hurry through some of this. But on page 18, we won't go there now, but you can go to page 82, and there's a lot of detail starting there on page 82. But what I want to do right now, I want to look at the proprietary funds, the business type funds. So starting on page 20 and 21, this is the statement of net position for the business type activities. That's your light fund, the water and sewer, and sanitation. So you can see that your total net position, let's just look on page 21. We're going to jump right to that. On page 21 is a statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in fund position. And you see the three columns. You see light, water and sewer, and sanitation. And you have your operating revenues and your expenses. You have your change in net position. So on the light fund, you see revenues of $25,511,000. Expenses of $21,059,000. So the light fund had a change in net position. And in a business mind, you would look at that as like your net profit. So for the light fund, you had a profit of $1,340,000. On the water and sewer, you had a loss of $1,395,000. That's a huge loss. In the sanitation, you had a profit of $559,000. So, and if you look back on page 20, the total assets, the water and sewer department has most of the assets. Water and sewer has about $53 million worth of assets, where the light has $27 million. The sanitation has $4.5 million in assets. The liabilities, most of the liabilities are in the water and sewer department. So that you have a lot of assets and a lot of liabilities that are required, to operate the water and sewer. And it's operating at a loss. To focus a little bit more on the water and sewer, so this year's loss was $1,395,000. So where does that compare to last year? Last year's loss was $524,000. So the loss is not quite tripled, but it's a significant loss over prior year. The years before that, you had profit. Let's go to page 99. There's some detail that we talked about individually, but I just wanted to bring this out quickly. There's operating revenues for the water. This is for the water and sewer, and this is your operating revenues. This is the money that you charge for your services. For 2020, it was $9,828,000. That was for this past year, 2021. For the year before, it was more. It was $9,940,000. So your operating revenues are down about $112,000. I went back for a couple years just to see, and we have this trend of your revenues going down. Because in 2018, the revenue was, now you have this loss of $1,395,000. And I said the year before was a loss of $524,000. But in 2019, you had a profit of $462,000 and a profit in 2018. I didn't go back further. I know you all have looked at this. But, and I just wanted to bring this to your attention because this is something that the city cannot continue, you know, with losses like this in the water and sewer department. You know, and I've learned that the last time you had a rate increase in the water department was 19 years ago. Now you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told that the last water increase was 19 years ago, and the last sewer rate increase was 16 years ago. So I was just bringing that to your attention because these losses really can't continue. You can't continue to absorb these losses. But that was, and you know, and also, you know, we talked about this last year. You know, with the state retirement, the state retirement continues to go up, and that's something that, you know, you have to pay more and more each year for that. So and you're needing, you know, looking at new software, looking at things that cost a lot of money. So it's just something that I know you're aware of, but to kind of, you know, I know you do careful budgeting and you're cutting expenditures where you can, but maybe you can start looking at something to do with this water and sewer loss that you're having. As part of our audit, we also looked at internal controls, over compliance, we looked at matters in internal control. So we had no findings, no material weaknesses, and only one significant deficiency that's already been addressed and corrected, you know, even before the audit was finished. So I commend you on that. And I've spoken with each of you several times, and with Mayor Cotton and Mr. Saint on several occasions. And each time I speak with one of you, I appreciate your concern. You've expressed a desire to know what's going on, know if there's anything that you can do to improve, you know, the city, any changes that need to be made. And so, and that's a tone that's set at the top, because I can see that all the employees, everyone that I work with, everyone that I ask questions, it seems like everyone is really trying to do a very good job. They want to give you accurate information. They want to do what is right. So the employees are very conscientious. I really appreciate everyone working so hard to get me good information. It's a pleasure to work with the city. You know, all the employees, you know, Ms. Simpson, Ms. Rhonda does a great job with all the financial data that she gives me. And so I just appreciate the help. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to work on this audit. I've gone through this so quickly. I know there's a lot on the agenda. Is there any questions or anything that I can bring out, talk about right now?
Questions for Ms. Jones? Ms. Jones, we appreciate your input. We appreciate this audit. Again, it speaks volumes to your team and to our team, Corey and the finance team, all of them that work within the finance team, working together along with our department heads to get where we're at today. And a big shout out goes to the finance team. And again, anything that you need from the council or from this administration, please reach out to us. But thank you very much. All right, next we will move on to the approval of minutes from the City Council regular meeting February 22nd, 2022.
The regular meeting of the Madisonville City Council was held on February 22nd, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. It was called to order by Mayor Kevin Cotton. We had the pledge and the invocation by Councilmember Chad Mincer. The mayor and all city council members were present for the meeting. We had approval of the previous minutes of February 7, 2022. We had approval of bills and payroll. We had a fire department report and a police department report. We had a fair housing resolution that was adopted. We had a resolution to enter into a mutual aid and assistance agreement that was approved. We rejected the bids for the hangar at the Madisonville Regional Airport. We had a resolution of designation of applicant's agent was adopted. We had a motion to approve an additional money for the West Kentucky Minerals for the sports complex was approved. We had a reappointment of Amy LaFoon to the Historic District Commission, an appointment of Libby Spencer to the Historic District Commission, and we had an adjournment.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting, February 22nd, 2022?
Second.
So a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we'll move to the approval of the minutes from the City Council special call meeting, also on February 22nd at 5 p.m.
The special called meeting of the Madisonville City Council was held at the fiscal courtroom at the Hopkins County Government Office on February 22nd, 2022 at 5 o'clock p.m. It was called to order by Mayor Kevin Cotton. The mayor and all council members were present for the meeting. We had a presentation of life-saving awards presented by the Madisonville Police Department and Hopkins County Sheriff's Office. And we had a review and discussion of the sealed bids received for the Madisonville Hopkins County Sportsplex. And the city adopted the bid for the Madisonville Hopkins County Sportsplex in the amount of $13,920,300 for 2A and K construction, contingent on the Hopkins County Fiscal Court accepting the same bid.
Are there any corrections to the minutes from the special call meeting? Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we'll move on to bills and payroll.
We have the total general fund of $145,283.12, the total sanitation of $40,604.08, total electric utility office of $167,092.94, total water filter of $58,867.39, total wastewater collection and treatment of $171,696.31. We have an estimated biweekly payroll of governmental of $51,727, police $136,037, fire of $140,447, transportation of $31,329, cemetery of $8,760, park $14,789, sanitation of $44,048, light fund of $83,597, water and filter of $50,006, wastewater treatment of $17,112, and wastewater collection of $738 for a total estimated biweekly payroll of $615,589.
Do I have a motion to approve the bills and payroll?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we have council committee reports. Do we have any committee reports?
The Annexation and Zoning Committee has directed the zoning administrator, Debbie Todd, to refer to the Joint Planning Commission to propose text amendments to the zoning ordinances, one having to do with accessory dwelling units in residential zones districts, and the other with having to do with provisions regarding emergency shelter in the cases of a disaster.
So we'll need a motion to send that to the Joint Planning Commission for text amendment. Is that right, Debbie?
I think they already did at the committee.
So we don't have to have one? Okay. But that's the report
Yeah.
that we're sending both of those to.
Just wanted to report that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions? Are there any additional committee reports? If not, we'll move on to the first reading of an ordinance amending Chapter 123.06 of the City of Madisonville Code of Ordinances relating to restaurant tax.
Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Madisonville, Kentucky as follows. Section 123.06 of the Madisonville Code of Ordinances relating to the restaurant tax is hereby amended as follows. In Section 123.06, collection and enforcement, we're going to add, in the event a restaurant fails to pay the restaurant taxes, interest, and penalties due pursuant to this chapter, the president, vice president, secretary, or treasurer, or any other person holding an equivalent corporate office, any member of a limited liability company or corporation, and all partners of a partnership owning, managing, and/or operating a restaurant shall be personally and individually liable, both jointly and severally, for the payment of all sums due pursuant to this chapter. And then the next chapter will now be G and not F.
So this will not be a vote for tonight, but it is open for discussion. Do we have any discussion on this ordinance revision?
I had some comments that I kind of wanted to make. I know that Joe, our attorney, is not able to be here tonight, but as this looks, it looks like we're kind of changing some of this from kind of civil liabilities. And so one of the questions that I kind of had and that I'll propose to Joe at a later time before the next reading is, does each day constitute a separate offense on this? And then at the bottom of G, it says that such criminal penalties. I don't know that the city has kind of looked at doing criminal penalties against anybody, but my opinion is that these businesses are collecting a tax from the patrons that use their restaurant. And so if they are keeping that money, they are not giving that to the city of Madisonville. And so to me, that is theft by deception. That's embezzlement. That's false pretenses. And so I would like to see us go after individuals that are not paying this criminally. I know that according to our attorney, Mr. Evans, this kind of gives us civil language in here, but I also would like to look at criminal for in the future if there's non-payment.
I concur that it amounts to fraud.
Any other additional comments? Or?
My concern is getting to this point where we draw a line of, okay, is this at 1 month? Is this at 2 months? Is this at 4 months? We do not have any language in here that sets a point of where we say, okay, this is where we start, because there's a business can get busy and forget to mail a check in after a month, and if you're a corporation and you have this done and where maybe it's paid in, a certain way, I would just like to see some language put in to say that, defining times of where different things happen, which right now, none of that language is in here right now.
And, I don't know if Corey can speak on the process of how that happens and at what point it gets sent to the attorney. And
we actually we follow up with phone calls to these restaurant owners, just remind them that it's past due. And then we'll also follow it up with letters if they don't pay. So we're into it for a month or two anyways before we would get with Joe Evans on it, and then he typically takes it from there.
He kind of takes it from there as a civil matter more than anything. He never kind of pursues that as a criminal matter, which I'd assume would have to go through the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and or the county attorney.
it'd be a question for Joe for sure, and Kim has made note of that to ask that information. So we'll have all of that information out to you all before the next meeting.
Should we note in the ordinance that timeline that we do have, so that way we can say, okay, that way people know, okay, these are the timelines, so there's not a question as to what it is we have put forth. Okay, on this, this month this is done, on this month this is done, and then at month whatever it goes forward. I just would make sure that I would like to see in the ordinance where it would say this is what we do and when we do it, so that there's no question of, well, it's just a policy of the department and how it's done.
We can definitely get with Joe Evans on that to see if we can put that language in the ordinance. So Kim's already made note of that as well. and then we'll have that information when we get the rest of it back out to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Corey.
Corey, if you don't mind to get with Kim and Joe Evans on that, so that we can make sure that that information's added. Is there any additional discussion or comments? Any comments from the public? All right, if not, we will move on to the first reading of amendment of Chapter 156 of the City of Madisonville Code of Ordinances relating to drive-through establishments in the Central Business District.
Be it ordained by the City of Madisonville as follows. Chapter 156.029 of the City of Madisonville Code of Ordinances hereby amended to provide as follows. Actually, it stated the prohibited uses included. It had number 1, welding and machine shop. Number 2, pool hall and gaming room. Number 3, auto repair shop. Number 4, adult establishments. Number 5, outdoor storage and sales except in compliance with 156.020. And it had drive-through restaurant, which is now marked through. And 7 is 0 lot line residential. D, uses permitted by condition. And again, it has residential daycare center, gas station, nightclub, religious institution, hotel, parking garage, commercial or office over 10,000 gross square feet, and then service use with drive-in window has been marked out and has added any business or commercial establishment offering services, food, or other items through the use of a drive-through window. Chapter 156.051, conditional uses. It's marked, services marked out, but business or commercial use with drive-in is marked out. Drive-through windows in the Central Business District. Number 1, site shall be designed so that there is a minimum of 5 reservoir spaces for each drive-through lane. Number 2, off-street parking shall be to the side and or rear of the lot. Number 3 is marked out where on-street parking is permitted. The length of the street in front of the lot may be counted as parking. That is marked out, but has been added. The Board of Adjustments shall have the authority to impose additional conditions to better affect the spirit of this chapter.
Debbie Todd, if you don't mind to come up and address the council.
Mayor. Well, over the years, we've had several restaurants with drive-throughs that have inquired about locating in the Central Business District. Our current ordinance does not allow a restaurant with a drive-through. As you can see from the amended ordinance, proposed amended ordinance, that service type uses like a bank or a pharmacy does allow drive-through as a conditional use. So we've had Golden Glaze several years ago inquired about putting a drive-through in. Of course, that's an established business here, but our ordinance wouldn't allow it. We had Subway looking at going in the Central Business District. However, if they couldn't have a drive-through, they would not locate in the Central Business District. Pizza Hut, which is going in currently at the corner of South Main and Lake Street, was in the Central Business District. That was actually at the very edge of the Central Business District next to General Commercial. So we ended up rezoning their property so they could have the drive-through. And then recently we had a Dunkin' Donuts inquire about it. So based upon those requests, as well as to encourage our existing businesses to expand and encourage new growth, I approached the council committee to see if they would be interested in a text amendment to allow all types of businesses to have a drive-through, again, as a conditional use. That committee, the consensus of the committee was to send it to the Planning Commission for a public hearing. The Planning Commission met on the 24th. They unanimously recommended approval of this text amendment, and that was based upon the intent of the Central Business District is to encourage the mixed-use redevelopment or investment opportunities, and the change would be consistent with the comprehensive plan's goal of encouraging new and supporting existing dining opportunities that serve the residents and our visitors. So again, let me reiterate, if the council does approve this amendment, it would be a conditional use, have to go before the Board of Adjustment. That requires a public hearing. Adjoining property owners would be notified. That board would look at each site specifically to make sure that it was appropriate for that location. Wouldn't be a traffic issue. There would be plenty of stacking lane. And whatever other conditions they might want to impose, extra screening, whatever, that board could do that. But it would be done on an individual basis. This text amendment is just to allow the opportunity for existing businesses or possibly new businesses to locate in the central business district and have the drive-through.
Any questions for Ms. Todd? Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. We might be referring back to you in just a moment. Jennifer, if you don't mind to come up. We do have some folks that have signed up for public comment on this matter. Yeah, just stand over there and call them up if you don't mind. There will be a 4-minute time limit on those that are speaking. Jennifer will be keeping that time for us. So as you come up, please respect the time that we have for everybody to be able to speak in a timely manner. So we'll let her start calling names. And Jennifer?
Our first speaker is going to be Michael Powers.
Powers, if you'll just come up to the podium. Sir?
My name is Mike Powers. I live in the city limits. I live across Queens Drive in North Madisonville. I'm the owner of the Golden Glaze Bakery and Deli on Franklin Street in the historical district. And yes, I had approached Ms. Todd and Frank about seeing if we could ever possibly get a drive-through in the where we work and operate. I feel like a drive-through would help our business. And then also, just a kind of a side note, especially since I don't know what this pandemic thing is going to do, but you know, it could have been a little more helpful for us to have something like that in place for us downtown to help us to operate a little bit better. I mean, we got through okay. I'm not saying we didn't get through with the way we did it, but it would be beneficial to us to have it for that reason, and just to have it to help our customers have a easier access to the services that we provide for the city, or you know, the community. And so that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. I'd be in favor of that going through.
Questions? Thank you, Mr. Powers. All right.
Next speaker is Chris McEnany.
Hey everybody. For you, all of you who don't know, my name's Chris McEnany. I'm the McDonald's owner-operator here in Hopkins County. I moved here recently in 2018, and just what he was saying is that with this pandemic, even though my business is 75% drive-through before the pandemic, after where we had to close lobbies because McDonald's said we had to, it was 98%. So I can't imagine having a business downtown like that without a drive-through trying to operate during those times. Even though if, you know, having a business come in and having a drive-through that could be a competitor of mine, I'm not personally for it for a business standpoint, but I'm for it for a growth standpoint because it means so much for this community to just grow. And that's what I see this as, a growth opportunity for mom and pop businesses, for anyone right there to really help this Madisonville take the next step and bring in more people, more businesses, more opportunities. So I am 100% for this. So thank you.
Sir.
Next speaker will be Tony Smith.
I'd like to reserve my time, but if you please note it necessary.
Okay. Ken Gibson.
Mayor, members of the council, compliments to each of you for serving in a great community. I've been there and done that myself. Anyway, I'm here on behalf of my client, PMG Community News Group, who own the Messenger Building, 221 South Main Street, and also on behalf of my agent, Tony Smith, who listed this property back in July of 2020. Since that time, we've tried to find an alternative use for this building, which is an 11,000 square foot building, and it's sort of a site-specific thing for a news organization, which my owners don't want to sell it for that again, which is probably not a very good probability anyway. But they now, we've looked for, since that time, we've tried to find alternative uses for that building without success, and now we have an alternative use for the lot. And we're looking at a lot that is a full acre, has access on Main Street and Broadway, plus an alley behind Broadway that goes off Broadway that goes in by the back to Main Street by the WTTL. So my concern is that after all these years of developing south of that, I have trouble understanding how the regulations restrict drive-in businesses south of Broadway, because as I recall, there were 2 service stations, one on each corner previously, which certainly drive-through. There's a drive-through bank right across the street, almost directly across the street from this property. And also there's a drive-in on the inside of Broadway there, the bank building. So from my perspective, in representing my client, excuse me, I find it difficult to look at the rationale that put that restriction on the south side of Broadway to begin with. You know, it just doesn't make sense to not allow my client to sell his property for an alternative use. And I thank you.
Sir.
Jenny Gibson.
Hi, I'm Jenny Gibson. I think I know most of you. I'm going to speak on a little different angle on this issue. I first want to say that I'm not anti-business, I'm not anti-growth, and I'm not anti-competition. I have spent many years working with many people in this city to help grow our community and improve our downtown. I help my competitors. We work with each other. I want them to succeed, and I want us to succeed. I am also the founder and president of the Downtown Turnaround Partnership. We have over the years raised money, grants. We have spent funds on numerous projects for downtown, hosted social events. We started the Halloween window painting again downtown after being dormant for many years. We mobilized lots of volunteers, and they took great pride in our downtown, and they wanted to see it come back to life. They cleaned, they painted buildings, they landscaped, and they watered flowers, amongst other things. I'm also the owner and operator of Big City Market and Coffee Bar. My primary business is espresso and related beverages. We also operate a deli. We've been in business, hope that's on me, going on 9 years. In that 9 years, we've expanded from basically 1 building of operation to 3. We acquired a second or third building and expanded our operation. We've had as many as 13 employees, which for a small downtown business is pretty big. We were hit hard with COVID, but we have managed to survive despite not having a drive-through, which is what saved most of the fast food restaurants. I am also the chair of the Historic District Commission. I have served on that body since Mayor Cox was mayor, former Mayor Cox. So I don't know how many of the years that's been, but it's been quite a few. And over that time, we have seen lots of things come through the Historic District Commission. I think everybody needs to understand it, and I understand there's a tendency to focus on south of Broadway. However, this impacts the entire historic district. It's couched in terms of the CBD, Central Business District, the Historic District overlays on top of the CBD, and with a few exceptions. Actually, the Historic District, I think, to a certain extent, is a little bit larger than the CBD. It may expand out east and west just a little bit further. And after release of this subject, this one block south of Broadway that was part of the Historic District, and that was released about 2 years ago, kind of, I guess, in recognition of some of the elements that were already brought up by Mr. Gibson. I find it concerning, having served on that body for so long and having me and others have worked so hard to revitalize our downtown and create something far different than what existed in 2010, that this issue was not brought before the Historic District Commission for a vote. There was no discussion of substance. It was discussed only in the context of this lot, which is south of Broadway. I have spoken with 2 other commission members, neither of which were even aware that this applied to the entire historic district. I'd say this is very uncommon and concerning for those of us that have been stakeholders and worked for our downtown.
Much.
Final speaker will be Tony Smith.
Mayor, Councilman, my name is Tony Smith. I am the listing agent for the Paxton Media Group of the property that we all know as the Madisonville Messenger. I work under the umbrella of my broker, Ken Gibson. I did write the listing for it to sell. We've tried to sell it. We really have. We've hoped every day that somebody wanted to see it, wanted it. There's not a lot of uses for an old printing press building that has no printing press, that's antiquated, that has probably one of the most primitive heat and air system and boiler systems that you'll see in Hopkins County. I do represent the seller and not the buyer. We were approached by a firm or by a real estate agent from another city, and he made an offer. We submitted it to our seller, and they negotiated and came to an agreement to sell it, providing that we can get some things done to make it more usable, friendly for them. This, as I understand it, will include demolition of the existing property of the building, which I've been through it stem to stern, and that's not a bad idea. I believe it not to be in the historic district at this time, and so I don't see it as a slight there. We have drive-throughs at 3 banks and about 45 feet from here downtown, which the city is one of them. So I can't see this but a plus. I have also 35 years an entrepreneur and sales and services here in Madisonville and Hopkins County, and every bit of competition I've ever had made me better. I'd better get better, or need to get moving. So whatever angst there may be regarding this, I think it's a good high use of a dilapidated at best, and possibly it's just past its useful life, and I think it'd be a great use for the lot. That's all I have.
Sir? Anyone else that has not signed the public comment sheet? Right. Council, is there any additional information that we need to reach out for before your next meeting?
I just have one question. I was looking at this, at the old ordinance that shows that it was originally passed in 2003, the original ordinance was, and there have been some amendments to it. Is there any way, Kim, that we could look at those other amendments as to see, because that was before our time, to see what that original text language was, or is that?
I can do that. I would have to pull each one that is up on there and give those to you. I can send those to you.
Just for my personal,
I can do that.
as being, since this is something that was nearly 20 years ago when this was first discussed, maybe I can be able to look at the language between what it was originally then and how it has changed. This ordinance has changed throughout time.
One on the website is now just the current, but I can send you the.
I just
okay.
hit a screenshot for it. So.
I can do that.
Thank you very much.
Additional information request? If not, we'll move on to our next order of business. We have a resolution authorizing for mayor to sign all necessary paperwork for a line of credit loan agreement for the sports complex.
Whereas the city of Madisonville proposes to enter into a line of credit, a loan with Farmers Bank for the sports complex, now therefore be it resolved that the city council agrees to authorize the mayor or his designee to execute any and all documents and all paperwork necessary for the line of credit.
Corey.
Thank you, Mayor. We did receive 3 quotes for the sports complex financing from Farmers Bank, First United Bank, and Independence Bank. In reviewing the proposals, I would recommend that we seek financing with Farmers. The terms of the loan that each quoted, it's a 15-year amortization period, and each of the banks quoted a 10-year fixed rate. So after 10 years, it would become variable. However, we are going to pay this loan off within that 10-year period, the fixed rate period. And Farmers, like I said, their rate was 2.75%. First United was at 2.99, and Independence was at 3.75. So it'd be my recommendation we go with the lower rate with Farmers.
Any questions for Corey? All right. If not, we'll ask for a roll call vote.
Need to make a motion. I make a motion.
Oh, make a motion. Do we have a second?
What?
Have a motion? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just a question. Were there any other, we got the rates, are there any other differences regarding conditions or expectations with a loan? Sometimes, there's, if you do da-da-da, we'll.
Got it down pretty much apples to apples, the best we could. There's no, early payoff penalties or service charges or anything like that with these.
Any closing cost on it either, was it, Corey?
Is that?
No closing cost on it.
That's good. All right. No other conditions on what we have to perform or provide to them, any of the loan banks or whatever. Okay.
That's of course the restaurant tax revenues. They'll serve as security or the lien on collateral for the loan itself.
Discussion? We have a motion and a second. Kim, can we have a roll call?
Yes, sir. Misty Cavanaugh. Yes. Tony Space.
Yes.
Adam Townsend.
Yes.
Amy Cruz.
Yes.
Frank Stevenson.
Yes.
Chad Mincer.
Would like to abstain.
Thank you.
Right, motion passes. One step closer to the sports complex. Next, we'll move into municipal orders. We have a reappointment of Lee Riddle to the Historic District Commission.
Lee Riddle shall be and hereby is reappointed to the Historic District Commission. The term of Lee Riddle shall be for 3 years, ending March 7th, 2024, and that Lee shall serve in accordance with the laws of the United States of America and the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the ordinance of the city of Madisonville.
Do I have a motion to approve the reappointment of Lee Riddle to the Historic District Commission?
I'll move.
A second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we have a reappointment of Kent Mills to the Historic District Commission.
That Kent Mills shall be and hereby is reappointed to the Historic District Commission, that the term of Kent Mills shall be for 3 years, ending March 7th, 2024, and that Kent Mills shall serve in accordance with the laws of the United States of America and the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the ordinances of the city of Madisonville.
Do I have a motion to approve the reappointment of Kent Mills to the Historic District Commission?
Move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Next, we have a utility connection for water service.
Yes, we have a utility connection for Galen Jones at 304 Pond River Colliery Road in Madisonville, Kentucky, and this is for water service to the property.
Do I have a motion to approve the utility connection for water service at 304 Pond River Colliers Road?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Our last order of business is a proclamation for Literacy Celebration Month, and we have with us today Miss Peggy Steersman. If you do not know Miss Peggy Steersman is a huge advocate for literacy in our community. As far as I've known her, and we go back many years, she has advocated for the literacy of our children and our community, and heads up even the Dolly Parton Imagination Library for Hopkins County. So, Miss Peggy, we appreciate all that you do, and I know that our community is better because of the hard work that you do to make sure that we can improve in our literacy. The proclamation is a joint proclamation with Judge Jack Whitfield and myself. It says, whereas the people of Madisonville and Hopkins County recognize the importance of child and adult literacy to quality of life and successful society, and whereas the foundation of an educated workforce and prosperous community begins with the ability to read and understand the written word, and whereas parents and guardians working in partnership with teachers, principals, school administrators, and family members are instrumental in promoting the value of literacy to children, and whereas business and community leaders can play a vital role in promoting the value of a child and adult literacy, and whereas children and adults must become excited about reading so that they will be inspired to make a lifelong pursuit, and whereas the city of Madisonville and Hopkins County acknowledge the importance of literacy to our continued success as a community and ask our citizens to accept the responsibility to promote literacy as an educational tool as well as a means to remain economically competitive. Now, therefore, in recognition of Literacy Celebration Month, the city of Madisonville and Hopkins County Fiscal Court proclaim March 2022 as Literacy Celebration Month. Thank you very much, Miss Peggy. All right, with that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Have a second? We have a motion and a second. Thank you all very much. We appreciate everybody's attendance tonight. We have these on the